That's Purge. Purge, you have been dedicated to doing a lot of the C action here up to this point. It has been ridiculous. I've seen everything from the team control pinging to action-packed Dota and, well, surprisingly, historical runs by teams like TNC. Now, most people thought that this team was going to be just put into the qualifier, invited, but they had to work their way out of the open qualifier, and they're looking like the best team on the block right now.
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot of familiarity with this scene, at least going into this qualifier, and I wasn't really sure who was going to make it out, but after watching a bunch of their games, I think this is probably my favorite team in the whole C qualifier. And I would love to see them make it. I know that they've been practicing a lot against MVP Phoenix, for example. I mean, not practicing against them, but they played some matches against them. They've taken series wins against MVP Phoenix, the team that literally just won a LAN. So
is that right?
Yeah, these guys are actually quite good. And Blitz was telling me that the MVP Phoenix was taking strats from TNC, like the PL mid versus Invoker.
Yes,
it was TNC.
That's what I heard. Yeah. I heard that, and maybe even the Jug mid as well, something like that. But the whole way to deal with like that Invoker mid lane was something that they were able to solve. And yeah, as you said, teams like Phoenix were able to pick up on. So here, though, they continue their long stride and run. They've already made it through that opening round of the playoffs as TNC were able to best Orange Tearing 2-0. And for Mineski on the other side, we can't forget them, of course, Purge. They were able to 2-1 their fellow Filipino brethren in Execration, send them to the lower bracket, and eventually they got eliminated. But now this is what many have considered the best two teams for this region. And we're going to find out if this is the beginning of the possible rematch in the Grand Finals or who's going to be able to secure that spot in the Grand Finals first and foremost. That will also be happening today. We'll be doing this best of 3, then the loser final, and then we're going to go right into the Grand Final best of 5. So lots of casting, Purge. I hope you're okay with being next to me for probably the next 10 to 12 hours.
God, is it actually going to be that long? I guess it will be
if
2.
I'm going on the long side, like if it's 3 games, 5 games here.
I'm interested in that kind of a distribution here. It could potentially go that long. Although it depends who gets knocked down, really, because TNC did 2-0 Tearing earlier.
That's true.
So if they do happen to lose this match, they looked very confident. They really took apart Tearing strategies. They mind gamed them with bans and things like that. I think that could be a pretty decisive set. If Mineski goes down, they had some trouble with Execration. They won 2-1. And then when both of the teams that got defeated in round 1 and went to loser bracket, Tearing trounced Execration.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. So it makes me feel like Tearing and Mineski are potentially semi-close, whereas TNC is maybe the favorite here. With that said, Mineski's roster has swapped since if you saw them last at ESL Manila. Jesse Vash is now stepped down to a sub, and their coach/sub of Cast is now playing. And he was at ESL Manila.
Yeah.
I saw him over there.
Cast, I just know notoriously, I familiarize that name with him playing a lot of Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Just because Cast.
He did. Especially the Rain where he used to be on Rave. We used to play against him in Korea.
Yep.
When Rave did really well that one Chinese tournament, I think it was DAC or something like that, they played a lot of Witch Doctor, and it was Cass playing it exclusively. And he's really stepped up his individual performance as well. He was always strategically one of the best players in Korea, but his mechanics were good but not amazing. But ever since that Rave run, I've really respected his mechanics a lot more. He really shored up any faults that he had as a player. So hopefully he's going to do the same here.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of cast is going to show up, if they're going to be able to pull out what some are considering, or at least us here, a possible upset taking down the highly touted TNC group here. So let's talk about the actual draft. Mineski do open up. They had second pick, so they got their Vengeful Spirit and Nature's Prophet, while TNC picked up the Witch Doctor, so sorry there, Cast. But they will follow up quickly with the Slardar. Got to get rid of the Doom. Bans out on the Alchemist, Puck, Enchantress, Lich out the door, Slark, and PL. So based on what I'm seeing here, Purge, I'm not seeing a lot of difference between what C likes to go for as opposed to something like we've been seeing in the European scene. Do you think that already we're just moving that far forward with the meta and we're kind of all coming together with the same kind of power picks?
At least slightly, yeah. Like the first or second day yesterday, even for example, the regions looked very different. But now I would say the only major differences for C is that they almost always pick Slardar first round, which is still happening in some European tournaments or in some European games. They always pick Slardar in the first round. And they also ban Lich in first round usually, whereas that doesn't really happen in EU in my opinion or experience. Even though sometimes Lich does end up being really effective, like in one of the No Diggity games yesterday or last night, They picked offlane Void with support Lich, which actually worked really good. He got a lot. It was like the best Chain Frost value I've ever seen in a whole game, where I was like, Lich is a good hero. Like that's what and it wasn't just like sacrifice Frost Armor. Chain Frost was good.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that C teams generally get the hero out of there is maybe potentially high aggression, not to mention just that it gives you a lot of lane advantage. So other teams maybe don't prioritize Lich first round ban, and I think it's weird to do it, but I can see why they like it.
TNC, they only had to see the Vengeful Spirit and Nature's Prophet and did not want to allow the Drow to creep on through. Possibly something Mineski had been pulling out a couple of times and don't want to risk going against that kind of high-tempo action here. So Mineski will instead opt for the Invoker grab. Not really surprised. He's been able to whittle his way through the draft so far and is probably one of the remaining strong mid-lane picks. And, well, with PL already being banned out, something we were talking about before the game, a TNC Classic putting the PL in the mid lane, they're not going to have that option anymore, but they go for the Jug. And now I would say don't put it past him maybe to put that Jug mid lane? Or do you think it's still...
It's definitely possible.
Okay.
You know, if you get a Poor Man's Shield, it damage blocks both the Forge Spirit and Invoker's right clicks. You can get a Quelling Blade as well, which is going to cover you against Nature's Prophet ganks, so I kind of like that. And if Venge tries to wrap around set up a gank on you, same thing. Spin it off, and you should be fine. If you have Spin and Quelling Blade, you're set, basically. So I could see that working definitely in the mid lane. The only downside is it's not good at killing Invoker. So, but with that said, there's other gank possibilities. Witch Doctor can roam on, and you can do Spin Cask kind of a thing. I could see it working, but I think it's more likely they play semi-standard. It could be like dual offlane, for example, Slardar or Witch Doctor. I think TNC does focus a lot on getting good lane matchups, and they do change it up. They're one of the few teams that I've seen that are completely confident just being like, yeah, we're just going to make sure that we can abuse matchups like Darkseer versus a melee hero, or dual offlane and then rotate it over later. I've seen them do that quite a few times. Even one game they did like Juggernaut offlane with, I don't know, some support, Witch Doctor, some generic support, and they put Magnus mid, I'm sorry, it was Viper mid. He got a Helm of the Dominator, and then he stacked Ancients for his Jug, who came later to just Magnus cleave it down.
Wow.
Like, with Empower. And he got incredibly farmed. It worked really well. It looked like an all-in push strat, but it was like, no, actually, we're just going to basically turn Jug into a better version of Sven that can teamfight more earlier. And it was pretty incredible. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So don't necessarily expect the Jug will be mid just yet. It's a possibility, but that's the hard thing with TNC.
Yeah, just the versatility and the way they can adapt so well just will continue to put a team like Mineski a bit in the dark as far as what they're going to be doing here. But they'll look for themselves and pick up the Ember Spirit. This doesn't feel like any sort of counter Ember Spirit grab. It's not like there's a heavy illusion-based hero to kind of deal with that you necessarily need the ridiculous amount of cleave. So what are the reasons are we looking for that Mineski opted to go for something like this? You get the benefit of being elusive. You have a high ceiling, great late game to kind of maybe match up against the heavy physical DPS that a Slardar and Jug bring.
Especially they're both melee, so you can kite them fairly easily, especially if you Searing Chains from range. That'll force out a spin, or Slardar's in a lot of cases just kind of dead from that. Searing Chains into Sunstrike, for example. Really dangerous for Slardar. It's also very good early game in the laning stage, and because they have Nature's Prophet, TP into lanes with Ember Spirit becomes all the more dangerous. So really good early contributions from Ember. Yes, there are some counters in Slardar and stuns and minus armor because the hero is a little bit weak to physical damage, but I think it's a pretty good pick that does accomplish a lot.
Now, TNC, after that Ember grab, opted for the Bounty Hunter here, so not to kind of really contest any sort of serious jungle play, but just looking to benefit more in the economy department, I guess, looking to build up a quick track and get lots of gold going their way. They have committed for, you know, a fair amount of melee here a bit, so that's where Ember even looks nicer, being able to kite and stay away from trouble. Even Invoker might be able to kind of have some good crowd control in these fights that could prove to be a bit frustrating for these three to be able to get in there and get the job done.
It may rely Slardar to be more of a initiate, stun, and run away hero, because otherwise, like you said, with that many melee, you're kind of grouping up for AoE. So may see more poking, and something like Bounty Hunter will help you a lot with that due to track movement speed. So I think the Bounty Hunter will work fine. It's also going to be able to pressure the lanes.
Lots of chase on this team, TNC.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a fugitive on the run, you're not going to be getting too far with track, with sprint. Jug's quick as hell.
Yeah, and with the Bounty Hunter, they can also do weird lanes as well. They can try to force the Slardar versus NP matchup. And when the creep wave is in a good spot, rotate the Bounty Hunter over, and then that's the easiest kill ever. Invis Bounty Hunter level 3 will say SAR 5 or 6, NP 5 or 6. If Bounty Hunter shows up to that, NP will die. He'll get more out of the lane usually, but Slardar always has the easy kill potential. And with Gyrocopter, they're going to be able to clear all of the illusions, or all the summons, and Forge Spirits and stuff a little bit easier. Great early game fighting hero. And yeah, that's their three cores, Jug, Slardar, and Gyrocopter. Like, all those heroes are just so good in a variety of situations.
Yep, Grave offers a good balance of awesome team fight. We were recognizing a lot of the melee. Now you got at least a Gyrocopter to work with. Ember, not typically a big BKB kind of a candidate, so Gyrocopter is able to do what's necessary. In fact, both of their item buildups kind of just polar opposites of each other. You know, Ember, if Gyro goes down the road, gets a butterfly. Ember, not one, typically get like an MKB or something like that. So they do not butt heads very nicely here. So and very nicely for TNC's side. But look at this last grab, the mighty Abaddon coming out for Cask here in the support position. You know, help soak up a lot of the damage. We'll get rid of the stun, help deal with the Cask a little bit here, soak up some of the rocket barrage damage. Is he just kind of being the paramedic for his team, you think?
Yeah, I guess you can remove track as well. That's another good thing that it does. But I'm not completely sold on the hero because there aren't that many stuns that they need to remove. So they're kind of using it as like a heal bot that's hard to die. I mean, that's one benefit, is that you're basically a support that can't get Omni Slash. So I guess there's some benefit there. Same with Slardar. If Slardar can't just jump in the back lane and blow him up. So maybe that's the value they're looking for there.
Yeah.
But in terms of the shield itself, I'm not completely sold on it. I feel like once Gyro gets like a BKB, if he's semi-decently along, he's going to be completely fine.
And their team really will thrive on those long-winded fights, getting off those constant sleight of fists. And as you already mentioned, Abaddon's able to kind of live through the fray of the fight right away, and he can be there to kind of continue getting the heals out. And we'll have to see if they're going to get their way or not. But as the game does begin here, some early TP rotations. Bounty Hunter looking to scout out any sort of ward movement from the offlaner. It looks like they were able to get it down already to get some vision on the side there, while the Treant Protectors will also help just scouting out those early bounty runes.
Ooh, can you deny it? Ooh. The Treant almost denied the observer ward. It was dangerous.
Yeah, almost gave over that free boost of gold, 100 gold at that. Thank you very much, 6.87.
Yeah, that would actually be a huge tonight. A little surprised they're using mana here to kill the Treant, but 23 huge amounts of gold going to Gyrocopter, I guess, and less scouting for their opponents. Sort of worth it.
They've made it feel like it was very urgent. It looks like they're going to be hanging around the Bound and Body Room is going to be a swift grab for them, while it looks like on the side of Mineski here, they'll be able to claim the top. It doesn't look like we're going to be seeing anything too fishy with the lane matchup there, Purge. We were expecting the possibility of maybe some Jug mid lane action here, but it does look like things are...
Are they going to get the other ward too? Oh my god, he got both wards.
I mean, probably should mention this to Gabe or something.
That's
pretty ridiculous.
I've never seen a double D ward before.
I mean, now Mineski, as we can see here, they're going to be completely in the dark at the start of this one. And that is 200 more gold going the side of TNC.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible they saw the bounty movement, like they could see the movement of Mineski adjust when bounty became visible, for example, or they just got a guess. I mean, I have seen a lot of people do sentry ward guesses on that cliff before, but that's amazing. So literally no ward vision extra for Mineski. It's going to hurt the rotations a lot, and it might make it a lot harder for Prophet to take good fights.
And Teehee actually did head middle, so we are going to have the Jug mid lane matchup against the Invoker here. Abaddon is going to continue to float around, maybe just in case the Wild Blade Fury does come out and do too much work. He's getting some nice right clicks actually here on the Invoker, and that's where the Abaddon might have to creep on in. He'll eat up a tree, and they'll continue to square up. But how do you forecast that this mid lane's going to end up going with the matchup as it is? You kind of dabbled in it a bit during the draft here, but now kind of seeing it in play with having the Abaddon nearby.
I mean, it looks fine for Jug as long as he's got enough regen to sustain the attacks. And I think at the very least the other lanes are going to go a little bit more iffy for Mineski, since Abaddon's basically sitting here waiting for the bounty. Yep. Now, bounty did originally sit mid looking for a potential snipe, but then he shifted to the off lane immediately. And I think that's a pretty good place for him to be, considering that Ember Spirit's not really good until like level 3 or 4.
He dropped a new sentry. This time he was a miss, but now knows that he's at least in the clear, hanging out in the side shop, so can remain in the shadows at this point and continue to be a bit of a surprise. Keep people like this Invoker and this Abaddon a bit on edge here, and that will force them to be suffering a little bit in the laning stage. Checking out down here and below, Gyrocopter pretty much with a lane 2 himself. 7-0 CS as Nature's Prophet's looking to make the best of the situation here, but isn't really, dealing with too much contention. Witch Doctor's just kind of doing his own thing, and he'll look to instead scout out the bottom rune as it comes up. Hopefully dancing around the Treants, and they won't deny it. He'll be able to grab it. Good grab for him, and Abaddon's also going to take it. Both mid laners not going to get a part of the new rune.
Okay. The top one was for Bounty, wasn't it? Did he get it?
The Cass picked it up, the Abaddon.
Oh, it's a haste, I see.
Yeah, he's got the haste rune right here. Not going to do anything with it, though, but wanted to deny it.
Well, the Prophet in the offlane is actually level 3, so he's doing quite well. Slardar is sitting at the same level, level 3. I don't think he's too worried in the offlane versus Venge Ember, at least for now, but maybe level 4, level 5 on Ember could get scary. Juggernaut's being harassed a lot, but he's also really denying heavily. 10 denies on him, which puts Invoker at 3 last hits.
And denies are just that much more dramatic this patch, too.
Yeah, if you get the right creeps, especially the range creep.
Range one for sure.
That's a huge one. Jug has really good animation, so he's actually winning his lane pretty convincingly. His CS is a bit lower than you maybe would expect, but it's still pretty darn good, and Invoker has very little. But like Ben-Hur in the mid lane is just getting kind of wrecked, especially considering that Abaddons have been sitting here the whole time.
Yeah.
They're not getting the value.
Certainly not, so we'll have to see if a change-up is going to be in order for them, and as they continue to stock and hope the Bounty Hunter isn't going to be hanging about. The Bounty Hunter's actually hanging around the bottom lane here, and so's Cuckoo. No opportunity to really make a jump for the Nature's Prophet as he's able to continue to keep this creep equilibrium, if you will, under the tower and away from any sort of pesky trouble. So things might start a bit slow here from both teams, just kind of asserting themselves in these lanes and making sure they can kind of have a good slow roll here, especially from the side of Mineski, just playing things pretty passively and staying as safe as possible.
Yeah, the only thing that's going bad for TNC right now is that the Bounty Hunter is very underleveled.
Yeah.
He's got almost nothing, but I mean he got 2 Observer Wards, so that part's pretty cool. But normally what that would lead to is him getting advantage out of easy roaming. He doesn't necessarily have to like invis between lanes, so he should be on the map longer and longer. He wants to initiate here on the Prophet, but he's not quite going to get there in time.
Man, they're thirsty. They want it real bad, but Nature's Prophet again going to be hanging under that tower and that precious armor aura just to make sure he can be nice and safe.
Yep. So regen for Bounty, really lucky for him, because that's going to keep him on the map even longer now. And this time he actually did go invis out of vision range of the Prophet, so they may not realize that he's back here. But immediately backs off again. Oh, he's going for a TP top.
All right, top lane. They're going to look to make a move for Slardar here.
Oh, he ate the wrong tree.
And yeah, that puts him still stuck. In fact, at that point, he knows he's as good as dead. The Treants surround him, and that's going to be your first blood. It's Mineski who will strike first.
That wasn't even close to the right tree. I don't know why he ate the one on the bottom left. I thought he was going to go right side, but maybe he misclicked. Maybe his camera's in a weird position. He loses that. He will still get some good experience when he comes back to the lane. And I don't think he'll get killed. Actually, he needs a TP from an ally. Okay, he sells something. TPing back at the tier 2. He will collect some of this experience and defend the tower most likely.
Tower's eating a bit of damage here, and Mr. Raging Potato, aka Bimbo, still sitting at the top of the CS right now. 35 and 14 for him. And they're going to go all in for this tower purge right away. Yep, and there's really nothing that Slardar can do about it. He's just going to shuffle himself back and hope for the best elsewhere. But this will relieve tension, and he should have a lane to kind of work with here. What can Mineski do with this? Obviously, they're going to get a bit more gold across the board, but at this point, do people like Vengeful Spirit need to like rotate about?
He can. Ganking Jug, like we said in the draft stage, it's really difficult. One of the downsides to doing this fast tower push is now that there's less safe places for Ember Spirit to farm, actually. And like, imagine if Bounty Hunter was here, for example. Like, he could easily get behind where Ember Spirit is now. So now they're going to have to do a mix of like camps and sapping experience, because right now Ember just genuinely doesn't feel comfortable going all the way up to the creep wave. So it's harder for Ember, but yes, it is good for the team overall.
Uh-oh, bottom lane. This time Nature's Prophet a bit too far from that tier 1 tower. It looks like they were going to be able to get the jump. Man, this Bounty Hunter had been lurking in this bottom lane for what feels like days. Yeah. Finally, he'll be able to get that sweet treat in that Nature's Prophet.
And he does have boots as well, 400 gold in Hell of Arcane, so he's actually in a pretty good spot right now. He definitely needs to get a 6, but he'll definitely pick up the experience rune, or the experience totem, if possible. Witch Doctor is also fairly leveled, level 4. That's actually quite leveled. He's almost 5 at 6 minutes. That's great. So despite the bounty being behind, I think they're doing relatively okay, even though we haven't seen much roam out of Bounty Hunter.
Got to ask you, of course, about that experience tome. I haven't been able to cast much through this hub, but how have teams been utilizing it when it first comes out? Is it more for those supports who seem to be underleveled?
Almost always, just because supports will do. Ooh, he almost gets the courier snipe. You almost always do more with supports with a couple levels, especially because they're like a high level hero. 400 experience is a lower total percentage of what their current experience is. Where if you only have like 1,000 points of experience, an extra 400 makes all the difference. They're going on mid, though.
Ooh, they dropped a ward, but it's too late. The Bounty Hunter already makes his move. They're looking to get Ben-Hur here. Can they get the Invoker down? They're looking to go for it. Bounty Hunter eats a stun. He's going to get dropped first. They will get that Invoker down, and they're going to look for more. The Omni does come out at that moment, makes it 2 for And will they be able to even things up? It looks like they will. With the rotations coming in, the help from the Vengeful Spirit, they will at least square things up 2 for 2. But Teehee in trouble. Magic Missile connects. That ward tries his best to help out, but the triple remnant and the appearance from Mr. Raging Potato will step in and get the kill.
It looked pretty good for TNC there, but with the bounty dying first, he gets no experience from the kill, which is a huge deal. If you're behind like this, you have to be in experience range to stay alive there. And he actually goes for a Tranquil Boots, a bit of an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Not as much mana. This could hurt him in the long run.
It doesn't feel like you really need the bonus armor. I mean, the move speed is nice, but you got track for that.
He's actually one of the highest base armor heroes in the game. He's got 7 armor. You just don't
you're right, yeah.
think about it because his HP's so low. You're like, whatever. Training with the bounty hunter, what's the big deal?
All right, more of the chase, I guess, as he will dance around and bat, and he will spot him pick up the Invis rune. There'll be no surprises on this one. And already back into the grind as the Jug does make his appearance here in the mid lane. Looks like a free world, though, still for the Slardar in the top lane, who did not participate. He is level 6 now, but is he planning on being here until the Blink Dagger starts coming online, and that's when he can really start participating, or do you think it'd be in their best interest to get him involved sooner?
I think he's in a good spot right now. He's going to be able to sit there. Oh, my bounty die again.
Nice convenient sentry ward is going to reward Mineski with a nice little bounty pickup.
They were just looking for wards, too. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I think the Slardar's just going to sit here. Because the tower was killed, it's very difficult to wrap around on this guy. Like, if you wrap around him, there's going to be opponents.
Bottom lane, looks like they found the Nature's Prophet once again. He tried to go for a TP out, but with the help of a call down, and of course, the mighty Witch Doctor, they'll take Nature's Prophet down, and we'll be at 5 and 4.
He's had a fairly tough game so far. He's got the levels, but his farm's okay. But there haven't been that many TP dives, and maybe that's just the inaction of the bounty hunter as a whole, where he was focused on pulling. But yeah, this early tower push, man, it's really going to limit what they can do to stop Slardar from farming. He's just sitting in his lane. He grabbed Quelling Blade, which is obviously a great item for profit, but it's nice that he can actually use it for farming as well. Normally, with an offlane hero buys Quelling, you're like, well, you're not actually hitting creeps all the time, unless you're obviously jungling. But he can just sit in his lane and get tons of farm here. He's got 32 CS right now. That's way higher than what the Prophet has. So despite his death in the lane stage, I think he's doing better than Nature's Prophet right now.
Yeah, we'll certainly see if it pays off for him once that blink does come online and once he starts, getting his hands dirty here. In the meantime, though, back at mid lane, we check in on our Jug. Still sporting his Phase Aquila as he approaches his level 9. He was up and ahead here, and he's still ahead of the Invoker, but, possibly because the Invoker, of course, being picked off there in that mid lane fight early, and with Cask sharing the XP with him, it's been a tough road. And speaking of tough roads, also for this Nature's Prophet, being stalked out now from your Bounty Hunter here, really nowhere feeling too safe for Mineski, even when they're pushing these towers. Uh-oh, top lane, they made their move for that Slardar Purge, and they got him with a Magic Missile and with a Sunstrike. Easy setup, easy kill.
Yep, that's one way to do it. Basically commit 3 heroes to a kill, and he was quite far up there. I didn't see how they got around behind him, but yeah, another Slardar kill is actually going to start limiting him a bit. 2 deaths now, and no kill contributions, just a little bit of farm. The Tranquils really don't do that much to keep you alive versus Earth Spirit when all of his damage is magical, so tough for him.
And we'll have to see. I mean, to his benefit, maybe if Bounty Hunter can creep up towards his level 6. He's getting hit now, so he'll know that there's vision in the mid lane. But he gets that track online. Maybe that will benefit the Slardar a bit if they can use it to set up some sweet kills. There's your first tome pickup. The Bounty Hunter's going to grab this one.
Definitely, yeah.
And
he really needs the levels.
Yeah.
And a bat on the other side, the other person that really needs it. He's actually been sitting mid all game. And you might be a little confused about this, but the enemy team knows that there could be a lot of roaming. Like, if they set up a gank on Invoker, the only reason he lived probably before is because Abaddon was still there. Even though it was a low level of Aphotic Shield, just a little bit of survivability there means Invoker doesn't die before Bounty does.
Yep.
So as long as he keeps keeping the Invoker alive, then he's doing his job. If Invoker starts dying, then Abaddon is kind of failing. But luckily for them, Bounty Hunter as well is also underleveled.
Soon enough, though, these level 6s will come together. We might begin to see some serious fireworks here. But in the meantime, the grind will continue it up for now. Witch Doctor, though, close to level 7. He's one of those few supports who's been participating a lot, especially on those Nature Prophet kills in the bottom lane. And he's been benefiting a lot from the extra XP.
Yeah. It's a great Witch Doctor game. There's not that many stuns coming out of Mineski. Cold Snap Tornado, hypothetically, he doesn't have Wex yet. And then Ember Spirit can do is Searing Chains, and you've got like Swap Stun on Venge. That's not too many abilities to have to worry about. If you just sit really far back and you drop the Death Ward, it's going to be outputting a lot of damage in these early fights, and the enemies might not be able to deal with it.
Spotted Bounty, but he's got the TP, and he'll make it away.
Prophet goes back as well.
That was a call down also. It looked like expended down there possibly. So hard commitment this time though. No bloodshed. Gyro, who is top of your net worth right now. I figured it was going to be the Ember with how much he was given, plus getting that kill on the Slaughter on the top lane. But no, Gyrocopter getting those Nature's Prophet kills in the bottom lane and continuing to have the lane almost to himself. So we got the Helm of the Dominator, and he's about to have the Yasha now complete.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised he's that much farther ahead. It's obviously not a huge amount, but considering Ember has an extra kill and an extra assist, and Gyro's ahead, that's just really fast farming speed.
Mid lane. They are stalking here. You have an Invis Witch Doctor along with a Bounty Hunter here, but that also means there's a lot missing on the map, and Mineski are just a bit nervous here.
Ooh, Bounty is running at 420 movement speed. Oh, they'll find the Invoker.
Yep, he goes up to the high ground. Oh, he drops the Forge Spirits, which makes a beautiful coconut setup, but they get the assistance coming in from the Abaddon. That mighty Death Ward is not going to be nearly enough. He's trying to heal it up with a Voodoo Restoration, but it's not going to be good enough. Now Nature's Prophet sweeping into the fight. He gets hit with a Blade Fury, and he will end up going down.
My God,
maybe not. Swap back. He's good. And it ends up being 3 taken down from TNC.
This Abaddon is it's doing so much for their lineup. Like, TNC is just trying to get kills, and these little bits of differences of survivability means everything they just did there. Basically, 3 heroes and 2 big ultis, they get nothing out of it.
That's crazy. And Castier playing that paramedic. I mean, he should be paid for overtime at this point, and already just the natural benefit he's going to be given to his team once these tracks come together and being able to relieve them, but already just proving his worth before we even get to the mid-game point. Proves to be a bit scary here for TNC. Their benefit, though, is, I guess Gyro still continues to farm up, and he was getting ready to go into some stack action here. They will be spotted out from some Invoker Forge Spirits, but I don't think they'll be looking to contest. So Gyro is going to be in fighting form. Blink Dagger also on Slardar at this point, so if TNC are going to be looking for a turnaround, it could be happening here in the near future.
Yeah, their team fight is definitely very good, so I'm sure that they can still come back from this, no problem, but these little turnarounds have really limited what the supports on TNC are doing. Bounty Hunter might just die here.
Wow, that was clean and swift there. Raging Potato sets up the easy chains, and the Sunstrike is there not a second later.
Pretty straightforward kill. And that was Bounty 6. He got 6 a bit before that, but now moving around the map, I guess. Perhaps because his allies were jungling Ancients, so there's no point to set up kills when they're doing that. But they will go back mid, defend their towers. Their safe lane was actually killed tower-wise. So.
Oh, well, they're going to eyeball the Ember. Can they burst him down before the Remnant? Nope. He will make it all the way back.
Not terrible. Waste some of his time.
Yeah.
Did they have vision of his TP? They did not. Almost.
Bounty Hunter does ping him out. It looks like he'll head up that way and just, I don't know. Do you think it might be in the best interest for this Bounty Hunter? Actually, they're going to smoke
aiming
up.
For it.
Yeah, they're hustling up there.
He could break this right now, hypothetically. If he jumps back, okay, he lost his chance. Bounty might find this. He needs to go into his right away. Okay, they found the Remnant.
There is a sentry on the high ground here, but he is already in Viz. He'll pop in there, and they might see him. Where's Ember at? He's going to go bottom instead. Meanwhile, mid lane, Magic Missile is going to be averted. A nice little Blade Fury step off. And eventually TNC just might realize that they don't want to be waiting too long here. And the Remnant will expire. So they'll just plant the ward in the lane instead and maybe just make the push at the tier 1.
All right, straight to the jungle then for Mineski. A little bit of a mind game here, but they do scan it. It's going to reveal that there are heroes there. So they're all TPing. They're trying to get here in time. It's way too late, though.
Yep.
Wave of Terror did a lot.
And with that, Roche goes down. Invoker picks up the Aegis. And
going in?
He's like, you know what? I want that, Roche. He moves in. Blade Fury will be able to make it away from trouble. Beautiful call down does come out from Raven. And now Mineski could be in a bit of trouble. They quickly lose 2. And the Death Ward from Cuckoo. Just relentless damage coming out. Quickly assaults the Abaddon. And they will quickly take down the Aegis here. Can they get the follow-up kill on the Invoker? Well, they certainly can there, Purge, and it's going to lead to a 4-man drop. TNC lose nobody. And it's a triple kill for Raven on the Gyrocopter, the biggest boost this game for TNC.
I'm scared to look at the swing for that one. And I thought Jug was being an idiot, but look how much value he accomplished. Like, there was spells, that was a Sprout, that was a swap as well. Didn't even touch him. He just popped Drum with the phase boots, spins away, loses half of his HP. He didn't even have to use Omni Slash in that fight. That was how straightforward it was. But by taking all of that focus, especially the swap, that guarantees that Death Ward does not get canceled no matter what. They're all going to be chasing the Jug. They get to follow up with like a Slardar stun, and the call down was beautiful. If that second missile hits, it's like a 60% slow for like a very long time. It's like 4 seconds of 60% slow. That's OP. That is so strong. So if that second rocket hits, their whole team is just dead. Like, yeah, they had a bad one with his ulti, but he's only good against like small bursts of damage. Yeah. But when it's like tons of right clicks like that, man, they just got wrecked. What a huge fight.
Yeah, wonderfully played from TNC. The Jug almost just coaxing them to come out. I was like, oh, you got the big advantage. You got that Roche. You guys want to fight? Just brings them right into the open arms of this gyrocopter, and without having too much ammunition available after the Roche goes down and after committing so much on the Jug, they were left almost empty-handed, and they lose a lot. And TNC are just not even just back in this game even. They have just taken over the net worth here. Not by too much, but TNC going to be in a very happy spot. I didn't even also see Track probably got out a couple of times.
I assume there were a couple. I mean, he's obviously limited on mana pool due to the fact that he went Tranquils, but at the very least he did Track Invoker, and I'm sure there was at least 1 or 2 others. Although Aphotic Shield, you know, from Abaddon, so that's kind of crazy to think actually that if you just Aphotic Shield somebody before you die, even if they still die, that's a 250 gold swing just by removing that buff. It's pretty incredible.
High value for the pick.
Just like the speed at which Gyrocopter was farming made that fight so easy for TNC as well. Like, he had Phase, Helm of the Dominator, Aquila, and SNY. All these items he had now, he had them as that fight started. And if he just had like a Sange or something, movement speed severely limited, like, it's so easy for him to chase people down and fight there. I don't even know if they have enough nukes to kill him when he's got this much HP. It would basically be everything they have.
One thing that looks like maybe Mineski might try to do instead, they get the Ether Lens complete on this Vengeful Spirit, so they have a great isolation kind of a play if they can pull someone like the Jug or the Gyro all the way back and hope that they have that burst potential maybe to take him down. But as you mentioned, he is a very tanky warship here, and that is not going to be coming easy. Yeah. And the Jug also adding more on top of his mobility, recently picked up his Blink Dagger too. So
okay, cool choice. He can jump on heroes a little bit more straightforward.
And they might jump now. There it is. A jump, though, comes from Slardar, leads into a crush. He leads into a Nature's Prophet kill. TNC continue their assault, and they're just about to be able to take over the score lead here. Vengeful Spirit gets off a stun, tries to go for a TP, but the Coconut flies out, and she gets denied. Now unstoppable for Raven here on your Gyrocopter. TNC even it up 10-10.
I think the one reason I like this Blink the most on Jug is because it synergizes so well with what Slardar does. Like, Slardar's already super mobile. If he initiates, though, and Jug can't get there while they're stunned, then it forces him to, he loses like 2 seconds of viability, like where he can just right click. Instead, he'd be forced to like walk in and then start spinning, for example. But if he can blink up right after the Slardar and just right click somebody and get a couple crits, it synergizes so well with amplified damage, and that he gets to save his big spells for defensive purposes or a solo hero later on in the fight. So it really lets him save his abilities. Even though it's a lot of gold investment, it allows his skills to do a lot more in the early game.
And normally I would think in that kind of situation, like, oh, you want to make that kind of ambitious kind of a jump to get the quick kill with the right click and the heavy physical damage on someone. But, you know, if it's not in the Invoker, I guess you might need to be careful. But I haven't felt, aside from a couple of Sunstrike kills, like a serious presence from the Invoker yet. Am I reading it correctly?
No,
I'm not seeing a whole lot happening across the map.
I mean, he's getting stuff done, but it's mostly summoning Forge Spirits and pushing mid, basically.
Yeah.
And that has value because it lets you know where your opponents are because they have to TP and defend the wave, so maybe Bounty Hunter can't be as active. But it's like hard to see very obviously. You're not like, wow, Invoker just keeps killing heroes. It's more like you're creating space by pushing lanes with Forge Spirits, and he's trying to contribute in Sunstrikes, but they mostly played defensively for a lot of the game. So it's going to be a bit. Once he gets more levels, then you'll see definitely blasts, Chaos Meteors, and stuff. I think he can still make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if it keeps going the way it is, it's like, oh, split pushing lane. I mean, we got a decent amount of wave clear here for TNC, too, so it's not the worst thing ever if they have to deal with a couple of side lanes pushing it a bit. But though I say that, bottom lane is eating a good chunk of damage here. That's where, coming into play, almost on cue, Gyrocopter will show up and be able to rid of this huge wave and bring in all that extra money with the help of that flat cannon.
He's so farmed. Yeah. He's very close to a Scotty, like 700 away. When he gets a Scotty, how does an Ember kill him? He's going to have like 2,500 HP against a hero that is mostly good in the early game because of his nukes, which means that if you just go heavy on HP and stats, that Ember's not going to touch Gyro until he gets his item after Battle Fury, which he just now finished Battle Fury. He's got about 2k in the bank. He's going to need like at least Daedalus to start getting into him.
Yeah.
Like
drawing
posing
blood.
a semi-threat over the course of like 15 seconds.
Well, yeah. Right now it's just like an Indian burn, but you need someone to really kind of get into the real deep cuts right here, and a Daedalus could assist, but as mentioned, this tanky gyrocopter who holds pretty much a 3,500 item above the Ember Spirit right now. He's got a way
blink
to go.
as well.
And then you have the insurance policy of a Jug just hanging behind the gyrocopter too. So
yeah, and Slardar really, because amplified damage, stuns, lots of physical damage. He goes to blink on Ember so that he's less vulnerable to just dying to Slardar, because right now he definitely can just get killed.
All right, they make their jump for Abaddon here. Help comes in before the tower does drop. They're looking to make a possible retreat. They make their move for AU, and he's caught in a Sprout. Omni will be coming out. The Abaddon will pop out his ulti. We're getting a mild bit of lag spike here, but can they get the finish? Oh, pop of the wand here. Nature's Prophet looking to retreat. Blade Fury goes out. He opts to go for the TP instead, but no! They got the swap. They'll cancel that TP. The Jug's going to be in trouble. Bounty Hunter shows himself to get off one nice little track to help with the speed, but no! They get off a nice wave, and they get off a really nice ulti coming out from the Nature's Prophet. Turnaround play from Raven. He wants to take on the 1v3, and now the 1v4 here. With help from Slardar right from behind. They are going to be able to get the finish. The Witch Doctor Ward
track kills.
Just annihilating all of them. And all that track gold that the Bounty Hunter put out before he did fall pays off now. It turns into a full team wipe on the side of Mineski. TNC, ever since that Roche fight, continue to stride.
This guy's net worth is actually insane. Like 15K at 22 minutes. He just finished with Scotty. He's got another 1,700. Like, he can do anything now. I would even slightly consider a BKB here, even though it's like not an amazing scaling item, just because he's invulnerable. The only way that they can counter that is sprout him and walk away. Like, that's their solution at this point. Because that was mostly a bad fight for TNC. Omni Slash completely wasted, or at least traded for a Abaddon ulti. Great trade. And they picked off the other two heroes with the exception of tracking like 5 of them. And then all of a sudden, in the meantime, Gyro and Slar picks off Ember, and then he's like, I'm ready to fight. And he kills like 4 or 5 heroes by himself. He's just unstoppable right now.
Really impressive gyrocopter showing here. Almost brings you back to the aggressive gyrocopter showing back at TI5. He's really just becoming quite a monster at this point. And a little Bounty Hunter here in the mid lane is making it all the easier for him, providing all that extra income as he continues to even provide the extra sight on the map here with the help of the tracks.
And if that fight gets more even, like it's a straight up 5v5 where they can cover each other, Juggernaut's got Healing Ward, which heals based on a total percentage of HP.
Yep.
And he's got S&Y Scotty, so he's already super high HP. Like, that's like a 120 HP per second.
Best part of the whole thing is that you don't have to micro the ward anymore. It just auto falls you. So.
Well, you can't handle that, dude? Come on.
I mean, he probably can. I can.
Okay.
For his benefit, though.
Yeah,
he won't have to worry about that. In the meantime, though, they are pushing down this bottom lane with the exception of that Bounty Hunter still hanging out to catch anyone drifting from mid to bottom here. He will be spotting out the Abaddon, making that rotation from up and behind. It doesn't stop TNC, though, from pushing in for this Tier 2. And I don't really forecast any defense coming out from Mineski to stop this one. Is there any reason for them to stop here? Should they just keep going? While they have this significant advantage, is it just like, let's see if we can close this one out?
They would lose mid tower. They might still lose mid tower. I think they have to go back here. I mean, yeah, they got a tower, and yes, they have bigger gold advantage, but they would be doing a chance at a high ground in exchange for their Tier 1 tower, which is too dangerous at this point. So I think it's for the best that they backed off here. Just get control of the map again, push the lanes out. Top tower as well as pushing Tier 2. If they went all in on a Rax push and they lost the fight, they would lose the fight and lose 2 towers. That's way too dangerous considering their position. I like that they backed off here. They defend 2 towers and push lanes, take a good fight, and then potentially take Roche after.
Now Ember was able to do some work on that Tier 1. Then he made the quick jump. He got rid of the nice little Ancient stack for himself, and now he's got a Yasha built up here. So
it's okay.
Manta to help a bit with the Omni / mitigation?
Yeah, and, well, normally you can just get rid of that by Sleight of Fist or Remnanting away. I think what he needs it for is to be able to remove the amplified damage from Slardar, and it's a crappy item that he has to get, kind of, due to this. But if he gets amp damaged and anybody right-clicks him, he's just going to die right away. Ember just has notoriously low agility gain. 1.8 per level is really bad for Agi heroes, so any minus armor or tons of physical damage in Ember Spirit is really countered.
And Abaddon would love to help out, but he's already got his hands full, I'm sure, with track and everything else and all the healing. He's like, listen, guys, you're just going to have to be able to pull your own weight at some points here. And Ember decides that he will help himself out to a Manta to assist in that department a bit here. But now we're getting into Roche time here. And though the last one was picked up by Mineski, which led to this huge turning point for TNC, really, we'll see TNC if they're able to kind of secure that Roche from the get-go for themselves and really try to tighten that noose around the throat of Mineski at this point.
Kind of an interesting skill build on Bounty Hunter here. Went for, or item build, sorry. Oh, Yeah, they're not going to go on this. He actually went Vlad's.
Is he going to have mana to do any of this?
Wand.
Like the mech?
Probably. Most likely. Witch Doctor does have arcane boots.
I was going to say, I was looking around if anyone else had arcanes. Witch Doctor does have some, though.
Cuckoo just ultied bottom.
Really?
I think the Invoker was invised in response.
Yeah,
maybe he's worried about dying.
He's still hanging out down there. Luckily, avoided the Slardar showing up with that amp damage. They will deny the tower. And Mineski continue to just, you know, jump from lane to lane here. Ember goes in for the tier 1.
Oh, he could die here.
Lift popped, and he tries to do some slight to cut the creeps coming in, but they make their own jump onto him, and he's not going to be able to bungee cord his way out from trouble.
Yeah,
there.
He actually maybe could have protected that. They did. I don't know if he knew the Slardar went to bot tier 2, but the tower was denied by Slardar, so that he could have got information that Slardar was there, and clearly Slardar can get mid pretty fast. So I don't even think they were expecting him to do that. They were just all kind of in the area, and he gets punished. And that's the threat of the amp damage. Amp damage with a stun for 2 seconds and Omni Slash, he dies instantly. Like he doesn't even need the full duration. He just needs like 3 Omni Slashes dead.
Here comes TNC blinking into the high ground, Jug. Assaulting the Sabaton a little bit, but they'll just go right for this tier 3 instead. While this happens, the Nature's Prophet trying his best to split push this top lane. He's actually already breached in the high ground and doing some work on that tier 3. Will force an early rotation back, and at that, TNC will just draw away from this mid lane. Slardar cutting through those trees with the help of that quelling. He continues to hold here, force forward, gets off the crush. Now we'll try to rock like, oh, nice convenient bash. Oh, there's a
2
second.
bashes?
Hey, you want another one? Here, get a third one while we're at it, just for fun. Boom!
Oh
Take that!
God.
Get the hell down! Nature's Prophet, killing spree for Sam H.
This guy's so farmed as well. I can't believe he has so many items. Sunstrike goes down. Roche, they actually get a Wish Doctor kill.
Man,
That's
they just,
good
was
start.
I mean, the Ember was in there. I'm sure it was just a scout Roche entirely, but man, that blew up the Witch Doctor pretty much from start to finish. And that's good. That will delay things a bit so that TNC can't quickly creep in there for the benefit of Mineski.
They can definitely hang out in the area, though. It is going to be Butterfly next for Gyro so that he can dodge a lot of right clicks. Basically, Invoker, that's actually a really big deal. Invoker, Nature's Prophet, Ember's Spirit, all right-click heroes. Not to mention the Wave of Terror plus Vengeance Aura from Venge basically means that the evasion kind of counters a lot of the toolkit that Venge has. So this Gyro is about to be kind of ridiculous, and if he even goes like Satanic afterwards, I just don't really see him dying.
Well, we'll have to see if he's going to be able to even build up to that point or not, as they continue to kind of swarm around. No commitment for the Roche at this moment. Instead, just kind of getting back into the lanes and keeping them pushed forward here, especially from the side of Mineski at this, and the Ember. Now, still only holds that Yasha, you know, because of that unfortunate takedown in the mid lane here. So he's been kind of held back. What was once only a 3.5k net worth advantage behind the Gyrocopter, now you're looking at nearly 6k. So it's getting out of control fast. And now TNC, Witch Doctor's back, the party's here. Let's move into the pit. Let's get this extra life.
They are going to Sunstrike Roche to help out a little bit here, and he can kill it so fast here.
Oh, nice. A little Nature's guys. Nature's ultimate there will also assist.
Top Rax is being a little threatened here. Very likely it will fall, but I think it's okay to trade that tower just for the Roche.
Ooh, Ember slights in, tries to go for it, but not going to get it. Cheeky little play.
That's basically the rest of his game. He has to play like that to not just get blown up instantly.
Yep.
Any Slardar stun, he dies. If there's anybody nearby, he's dead.
They will lose, as you mentioned, that tier 3 at the top lane, and they will eat a bit of damage, at least on the ranged racks, because of those Treants. This is a bit annoying for TNC, but something they can handle. Do you think this Nature's Prophet should build on this? Is this his game here now? Is this split push kind of rat game?
Yeah, basically is. It's difficult though. Jug has Blink Dagger, Slardar has Blink Dagger with Force Staff and Quelling Blade. He's basically the anti-NP hero here. The only downside is he doesn't have AoE, so he can't counter the split push super well. But split pushing is going to be the name of the game for Prophet for a while. It's got a Maelstrom, possibly picking up a Hex as well. They kind of need that to deal with Jug perhaps, but Hexing a Gyrocopter, I don't even know if that's worth it, because you're not going to kill him anyway.
It's just big.
Yeah. How do you kill this? That's just a really tanky
You have to kill it
pick.
twice, too.
Yeah,
at this point.
And he's working on Satanic now, most likely. Item after that, who cares? Anything, he'll win. Dagon 5, maybe?
Sure.
That might almost be good, actually.
Why not? Bloodthorn? Why not? On Gyro, just because.
Hurricane Pike?
Hurricane Pike.
I've heard somebody say that Hurricane Pike gyro has some interesting interactions, but I don't actually know.
Because of flak cannon at all, or
I don't know if the flak is like centered on. It's probably centered on his hero, but.
I mean, how does it work with multi-shot? You know, like from Medusa, does it only just? I'm sure it's only the single.
It has to be based on. Yeah, you would only hit that guy probably. Yeah. Maybe.
Not something I've jumped into like a practice lobby to try out.
Yeah,
really,
but flak cannon I assume is based on where your hero is standing. So I think flak cannon wouldn't work. Maybe multi-shot does. Definitely not a good item.
I have heard though you can't force your missile with Hurricane Pike, so that would be.
Oh, they fixed that, I think.
Oh, they have fixed it. Well, he definitely needs to get it then.
Okay,
so.
good idea. The stun follow up on the Ember Spirit basically.
For sure.
He's still got 1 level of homing missile. It's actually a great skill to have against evasive heroes to kill. So like Earth Spirit or Ember Spirit, you just put it down, and then eventually it might hit him. It'll show you where he's going, where he is. If it's a long chase, it might eventually get him the stun. He's going to go for the backdoor on the ranged. I'm a little surprised this is working because, I mean, you do get backdoor on there. Now it's working.
I don't know
how did that take so long.
Dota technology, as far as backdoor goes, is definitely a bit rusty.
Yeah, whoever the engineers are is awful.
There's like hot spots.
He actually just walked right back in here. Does the Manta and he gets
okay, he's in, he's out. The job's done. Range racks, what are you going to do about it? TNC will be actually the first team to suffer some base damage here. And man, Mineski just not letting up. Back at bottom lane now. Nature's Prophet says, this is going to be my new lane.
The sad part is that this is the easy time for Mineski to backdoor. Because if you look at Jug, he's going the natural item progression. What are they having trouble with? Catch. So he gets a Basher. He's going to turn this into Abyssal Blade, and then he's going to be able to blink, stun somebody for 2 seconds. That's really dangerous. For any of these heroes, except for maybe a Baton. That's about it.
I mean, the nice thing is that for now, Mineski it seems that they've stalled out this Aegis entirely here, so there's not going to be any sort of real offensive movement possibly here from TNC. Though top lane, they're only going to be seeing these Ember illusions. Bounty will try to check out back and behind if Ember's there, but actually Ember already back at base and already making his move elsewhere. So they'll just continue the grind. And they're going to try their best to make things difficult for TNC to really be able to push past the river and try to get inside the base.
Yeah, they're doing a good job at that. Boots of Travel and Gyrocopter is going to make a lot of difference, though, because now he can be the one to move across the map very easily. I heard Gyro's good at pushing.
Invoker spotted out, but the second he sees trouble, he blinks away, and he will even Ghost Walk just to be sure. And makes it away from possible trouble there. TNC make their approach. This is the least aggressive we've seen them in a while. They're definitely playing this one a bit safer than we've seen.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had a gem at this point, honestly. It's a little scary because if you lose it, obviously your opponents have a counter to bounty, but I don't think that's really something they need to worry about too much here. If they just move around, kill all the wards, then it becomes even harder for their opponents to counter the split push.
Dropped a Void Stone, and it's like, I can't hold this anymore. I'm just going to get this courier to come take it for me. All right, well. They'll work with it here and just do some ancient farming in the meantime, I suppose.
Oh, Bounty's going to find him, though. They see the right clicks coming from the high ground.
Ah, what's happening over here?
The voice!
Oh, it gets picked up, but the courier gets killed. The poor summon courier goes down, and now the bounty hunter says, aha, I'm here. And with, the Witch Doctor showing up, gets off a coconut and, tickles him a bit with the Death Ward.
I like that Bounty gave up on that. He actually needed to. Cuckoo's going to die to this. A little bit of a misplay there.
They get AU, it looks like first Sunstrike Sprout. They're also going to try to get the Witch Doctor. Tornado will cancel that TMP. And that will be the end of it. Both supports go down on the side of TNC. But the Ember drops on the bottom lane.
Okay. Did they have Abyssal or? Yeah, they did.
Yep.
The Blink Abyssal with Star follow-up. Oh, and a Shadow Blade now in Slardar.
Oh, boy. That's pretty good. Nightmare for Ember Spirit.
Yeah. Now he's got 3 mobility items, one of which is mostly used just to be able to be invis. You can stand places where Ember might go, and you don't necessarily need a ward there to spot them, because that's always a huge problem when you're trying to catch those heroes. You need a ward in the place where they might show up, like against Tinker. You want to see them when they're about to teleport in, for example. But you can't have that vision unless you have a ward or your invis. So Shadow Blade really gives a good solution. Oh, he might catch the Prophet here.
Top lane. Very close. Not going to be able to catch it. Nature's Prophet makes it away here, and this mighty beefy Gyrocopter who still holds king net worth right now. Hanging up in lane, blinking though. They think the Gyro's alone and they want to make the go. Tiki is around the corner. They get him with the EMP. The Rocket's going to be going out. Jump in, Abyssal, Omni Slash. It is in the creeps, but the help of the call down will clear out those creeps quite a bit, but they're not going to be able to do quite enough to get the finish. And now Raven in trouble. Sprouted up. Meatball goes down. Sunstrike there as he walks out. Still not going to be enough to bring him down. He's healing up. He's good. walks back and away. They decide to change targets, go for Teehee, but the rest of TNC has now shown up, including the Slardar. Jumps in, crushes. Force forward onto Jules. Another force will get him back into the basin safely. They turn around. They tornado. Ice Wall is going to be dropped. AU in a bit of trouble. Sleight of Fist coming out as the Ember Spirit has returned, and a turnaround comes out from Mineski. They're looking to move on in. Can they get the Slardar? Yes, they can. They slash him apart.
Oh, they got him.
More. They're going to get the Gyrocopter.
5.
He also gets dropped. Cuckoo going down. It's all falling apart for TNC as they lose 5.
That's not good.
Whoa!
Gyro way out of position there, and that they have to buy back now just to save their melee barracks because it's constantly threatened here by the Nature's Prophet. Mineski can still win this one. I mean, TNC was never completely guaranteed to win, but they had a clear advantage, but their split push has been very effective. It's really delayed what TNC can do, and perhaps Gyrocopter a little impatient, completely out of position on the mid lane, and he stayed alive forever. Jug saves them, they feel like they can get kills, and they overextend afterwards, and it leads to 5 heroes. And that's going to accelerate Ember to a position where he's actually going to get really dangerous again.
And now for the first time, it feels like in forever, Mineski as a team moving down on the offensive, striding down this mid lane. Tier 2 seems to be in order for him, and we're going to have to see TNC tested possibly here. No, they'll just take their one tower. They back off and away here. They still have time before Roche is going to be up, but man, a big morale boost, if anything, for sure, for Mineski at this point.
And not to mention the fact that they bought back there. So that means for 6 minutes, their 2 most important heroes, if they die, they're dead. So now they have to play quite defensively if they want to be safe. Anticipate Mineski setting up kills. Perhaps they've got a lot of hexes coming up. Invoker basically has his money. The Courier just respawned, which finishes Nature's Prophets. They could potentially kill one of these heroes. The target is maybe going to be Jug here. A little bit less HP. Much less armor, actually. Significantly less armor. But they got to kill some heroes. If they can kill those cores, it could lead them to a push. In a straight 5v5, I still would give it to TNC a little bit. But it's getting less scary. Ember's ahead of the Jug now by 3k.
Wow. And I'm sure Mineski will have eyes on this Roche. They can get this Roche, have the Aegis, formulate some sort of push, and be able to move in for TNC while they still will not have those buybacks. But as you mentioned, TNC are going to have to play this one very defensively now and just kind of take things a bit slower and a bit steadier at this point. Do you think that if Mineski are to... Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you think is going to be happening with this potential Roche here? Obviously, very important if TNC wanted to be able to kind of hold on with the deficit of having no buybacks, but are they comfortable enough to take a fight?
It's tough. They can, but the hard part is that the top lane is pretty much always pushed out. So the top lane's always pushed out, and Mineski starts Roche. TNC is going to want to contest it a bit, but they don't have an easy hero to go split push and come back, like Ember Spirit can, for example. Remnant down, go push out top, come back to Roche here, for example. So they can't as easily keep the waves pushed, and they have to sit together a lot, which is why you're seeing them kind of just sit behind the gyro. So Mineski should be able to play around this and take Roche. Definitely possible. They are smoking up, though. They're going to try to force a fight here in the jungle.
Ooh, there is a ward, though, that sees him. He sees him, but they still make their jump. He gets the Hex off, and now Gyro's going to be stepping in a quick turnaround from Slardar right on the Bender. He's going to get trapped within the Sprout. They try to get him out from trouble here. Step in, Abyssal Blade, Jules, Omni Slash going out. Gyro trying to man up with the help of the Flat Cannon right here. They're going to take down the Venge first. They lose Bounty Hunter, but then the quick follow-up is going to be the Nature's Prophet up on the high ground. They still get that Invoker. A triple kill for Teehee. Ember gets off his chains and says, I can't do anything else about this. He pieces out, and TNC will take a fight back their way.
Yeah, a little surprising to see the Radiant ward there, but very smart. This absolutely saved them the game right there. Because if they didn't have the ward, they wouldn't have seen Mineski coming. They would have got initiated on and possibly killed. So that ward on the high ground, normally not a good spot. With their opponents having kills on and their TNC having to use buyback, they're clearly going to go aggressive. So they anticipated this like aggressive smoking from Mineski. They saw it coming, and they were able to defend from it. So maybe a bit poorly executed as well. The Prophet wasn't smoked, whereas the other heroes were. TP's in, they saw the Prophet, and then boom, the gank is kind of revealed. And they moved heroes over, and they took a great fight.
So TNC moved themselves down the mid lane. They don't have to get too close to already force out the buyback from Invoker. And once they see that buyback, they just 180 and head right back to their business here. Roche is up now, which is worthy to note. So we'll probably see Mineski get these lanes pushed. Ember already heads to the bottom lane, pops his Manta, slides out the wave, and already heads right back in towards the pit. First one to show up is going to be the Nature's Prophet now, and they begin to go to work here.
Will see the others.
TNC be able to make it that way in time?
I think they can because Venge isn't here yet. That's oh, I'm sorry, he just got here. Wave of Terror there. Now it's going to be too late. With the Wave of Terror, your damage amps
it wasn't
by like
too late the
36
first time. I don't know
You're
if
right.
they want to do that again.
They'll just show up afterwards and kill them anyways. The great strategy there. Yeah, it's still going to go down. Aegis now on Ember. No, yeah, I think Invoker's the right choice there. He's too important for what he does. Ember Spirit shouldn't be dying no matter what, especially with Manta. I think the cheese will be enough for him.
And a cheese he will have, and it's Gouda. So with that, he'll take it up and away. And we'll have to see here. Gyro had been nursing quite a bit of gold, but it looks like he finally was able to make a commitment, and it's going to be a BKB. So full 10-second, late game BKB.
I like that.
Very secure.
He needs to make sure that in the team fight he is maximizing his damage. He's still hard countered by Sprout, so that's going to be the scary part. But at least with BKB, he has to ground click. It sounds stupid, but just forcing the Prophet to have to ground click to try to catch him, it could make the difference. If he hits the Sprout, he can get the next Sprout, for example, or at least a lot of seconds of BKB is wasted. But with Boots of Travel, S&Y Butterfly, that is his goal. Activate Flutter. Don't get sprouted when your BKB's on, and once you don't get sprouted, you just maximize damage. Chase down a couple of heroes. So it's a good choice here. He doesn't want to get locked down by Searing Chains or stun from Venge or Ice Wall, for example, could completely limit his damage in a team fight. He actually does need BKB here, and the nice part is that as this item gets worse and worse later, he can just sell it or drop it and 6-slot on something else instead.
TNC smoke up. They are beelining it up north here in hopes of catching anyone from Mineski on the back lines, but Mineski have already taken their business elsewhere. There is a mediocre push actually happening here in the bottom lane that they can kind of move forward here. But they, with the Aegis and the Shees, time is on their side if they wanted to kind of dictate this game. But not TNC have anything to say about it, Purge. They've actually fully invaded now into the Mineski territory. They're looking for any sort of kill or a pick-off that they can get here. They're very close to Jules.
Know they're there now.
Forced to the high ground, though, and yep, they make it away from trouble.
Nobody is defending the bot racks push, so clearly they're moving around trying to get kills off. I didn't super like that smoke gank there. I feel like they organized a little bit late, and they kind of want to pour away. If you're running like this way on the map, it's not the biggest place for impact. I feel like you should have ran straight across the map, for example, into their jungle. Not as good, obviously, if you run high ground and you find their whole team, but it's a little bit faster to get there, and they might have caught them as they rotated out. So I think it would have been a little smarter if they just need to do that more rapidly. Immediately group, push out the lanes, smoke and go.
And now it does not look like they have any smoke to work with here for TNC. So it's not going to come as easy, while Mineski still have at least one to work with there. And speaking of which, they actually pop one. So right out the front door.
Okay, they got their 3 heroes on it. Nature's Prophet obviously ready to TP at any time, and Ember Spirit's running to catch up. No TP for 25. If they take a fight right now, it would be all right.
Does not seem to be the case, though. They will head themselves straight south. AU is here. Hides under an invis, but
Bounty could break this.
No gem.
Smoke's still up, though.
Mineski, but they do have a sentry on the ground. Uh-oh, they have spotted Cuckoo.
That's probably the best person to lose.
Yeah, take the gank, you know?
Yeah, Bounty Hunter is more net worth. He can also scout their movements as well, so I think that's overall very solid. Did they get a track off too? No, they didn't. So they don't know where they are right now. He's going to play it a little safe. He does not want to get killed outside of the base. With 2 supports die, it's awful. 1 support, okay, whatever. They use the smoke for that. So all they have to do is defend for about 40 seconds here, and they're going to be okay. They'll probably Mjolnir buff maybe one of the... No, it's not worth it. Those creeps are real dead.
Oh, yeah.
But defend the creep wave, played a little safe here.
Potato jumps in. He'll drop off some Manta illusions here. And those, along with the Forward Spirits, and Mineski certainly do have quite an annoying push stride going for him. On all fronts, they're going to have to keep tabs. I mean, even checking the top lane, there's Treants coming in.
No big deal. For that reason, I like the Mjolnir on Jug. At first, I was like, why would you buy this? Not very good. But against Prophet Split Push, you really do need some AoE.
Oh, for sure.
It's that or Battle Fury. And in some ways, maybe Battle Fury is better this game due to Sprout. Not sure. The attack speed that Mjolnir gives you is easily better, though, and it's definitely a more expensive item than Battle Fury. So if you're talking 6-slotted,
you got to show off the money that you can spend. So
yeah, and it'll make his Omni Slashes better, too, because his attack speed is so much higher now that he can attack between the Omni Slashes. So that part's kind of cool. Also, it's the only way to do damage with right clicks while Blade Furying, because then you don't do damage with your right click, but you get a chance to proc the Mjolnir. It's not going to matter, but fun fact.
Fun fact. Here comes TNC, though. They're not looking to back down quite yet. They strut themselves forward. You still have an Aegis and a Cheese on the side of Mineski at this point.
Save their ward there, too. Pretty nice.
Still in vision, but no one obviously going to be there to kind of keep it down. And look at this.
Oh,
Raging Potato right back into the grind. Will he be able to assist in finishing off the tower? 25. It's still standing.
It's getting a little scary for them, man. The split push from Mineski is strong. And TNC, I think, clearly has better team fight, but they're having trouble getting these kills. Maybe they need some like cliff wards or something, spot them coming. They're not really anticipating the split push approach that Mineski is doing, and I think that's a lot of the reason is because they're scared to spread out. They know their opponents have the Aegis. Well, it's actually gone now, but they have a very good team fight. They're split pushing. TNC feels like they have to be together because as soon as they spread out, if Mineski takes a good fight, they could just lose. They do have buybacks, but to be on the back foot again could be really dangerous.
Satanic now done for Raven here. So he'll be able to stand in plant and be able to have all that extra durability. But he's still on this defensive split push duty. Not really in the kind of the fight territory. The game overall as far as kill count has really slowed down quite a bit just because of this tactical play coming out from Mineski. An appropriate one at that because, you know, TNC had been well up and ahead, it felt like, up to this point. But now, Mineski just kind of really making TNC sweat.
So maybe their lack of smokes is really limiting their ability to kill Prophet split push, for example. TP in a lane, you got to kill those guys as they TP in before they get to the creep wave, for example. Their gem is getting some good work done. They're killing observer wards and stuff. There's a lot of dire wards actually on the map, so this is super important that they do this. But they may actually attempt a high ground here.
We'll see if they can do it. This is their best chance, as you already mentioned. No Aegis in hand. They still have that Cheese. It's still in the pocket of the Ember. And now they're considering moving on forward here. Cast, happy to be the bodyguard at this point.
Gets past.
He just walks right past him. Gets a couple of ashes. They're going to be forcing out the ult right away. Raven strides on in.
They're healing.
Gets stunned up. And Mineski are just waiting way back. The split push, as you mentioned, coming out. Nature's Prophet at the top lane. Ember at the bottom. They're looking to go for a 2-for-1. Can TNC move forward and go right for the jugular to make up for it? Well, they're going to be able to clear out who's in the base, and they'll go right for the racks at this point.
Oh, they're going all in.
Losing a lot. They're going to be going all in. They're going to go for the jugular. It's their only chance at this point. They'll quickly wipe out the Vengeful Spirit, and now they're going to be going for the tier 4s. While this happens, the Ember has pulled back into the base to save it. He got the job done in the bottom lane. Nature's Prophet got work.